And welcome to this special product update webinar. As you may know, Cubit 6.1 was released 2 weeks ago, and with it came many refinements, plus 3 new features introduced on the back of customer feedback. For those of you unfamiliar with Cubit, it's a unique and natural solution for estimating, building, and construction projects. By combining estimating and takeoff in one seamless package, you could be estimating jobs up to 10 times faster than traditional methods, or 3 times faster if you're using other software packages. Cubit is a natural estimating solution, proudly developed by BuildSoft, the industry leader in estimating solutions for over 30 years. Before we start today, I'd like to quickly outline how you'll get the most out of today's webinar. I encourage you to ask questions throughout the presentation about the features we demonstrate. We'll be utilising the chat box today, which you'll find as part of the GoToWebinar control panel. Type your question in the box and we'll answer them. I'd also encourage you to remove any distractions and avoid multitasking. Switch off or place your phone on silent and log out of your email. We do understand that you may need to step away at some point, so we'll be recording today's webinar and sending it to you later today. For those of you unfamiliar with my voice, my name is Hayden Carroll. I'm a Regional Sales Manager at BuildSoft, and I'll be demonstrating the new features today. Joining me as my sidekick is Steve Kilsby. Introduce yourself, Steve.
Today, I'm the Development Manager here at BuildSoft. So I joined the team earlier this year, and in that time it's been great to be part of developing and delivering this software for you. The team here has doubled in the last year, and on top of focusing on quality of Cubit, we're also very interested in your feedback for shaping the feedback of the product. So please get in touch if you ever have any requests or ideas that would make the product better for your needs, as we are listening. Today I'll be answering your questions in the chat box, so shoot them through as Hayden talks, and we'll be able to get you through questions in 6.1. Cool, back to you, Hayden.
All right, thanks, Steve. You and your team are doing a fantastic job, as we're about to see with the features I'll take you through. Okay, today I'll be taking you through 3 new features released in Cubit 6.1. First up, I'll show you the new custom Excel export, which gives you better control and choice over data exports. Now you can transfer data out of Cubit in any report format. This is particularly useful for creating direct integrations with other systems like Microsoft Project, JobPack, or QuickBooks, or any other third-party software that can import data from Excel. Secondly, we'll be receiving feedback regarding the styling of the reports module. So the development team has refreshed the look of the Cubit reports. I'm sure you will love the improvements. I have. And finally, I'll be taking you through the enhanced job update functionality, allowing estimators to leverage the job update feature released in Cubit 6 with more options now available. This feature is especially useful for custom home builders, project home builders, commercial builders, or anyone using price lists in Cubit, or any of our legacy programs like Offsider or Global. This presentation shouldn't pass 30 minutes, and we'll have some time at the end to take additional questions. But for the purpose of staying on track today, if you have any questions about any other Cubit features, please get in touch with the sales team after the webinar. I'll display their contact details at the end of the presentation. All right, let's get into it now. I'll just bring up my Cubit application. As you can see, just sitting at the Job Manager screen. Okay, so the first feature I wanted to show you guys through is Custom Excel Export. So our customers have always enjoyed the ability to export data out of Cubit in an Excel format. We've developed a custom Excel export feature to make transferring data into any report format as easy and as flexible as possible. You can choose any combination of job columns to be exported into an easy-to-use Excel document. Whilst we have dedicated integrations with products like Buildertrend, this new feature is particularly useful if you want to create a direct integration between Cubit and other third-party software like QuickBooks, MYB, Microsoft Project, JobPack, or CHEOPS, the common systems used for job administration and accounting. This feature complements the existing report designer by providing the ability to easily export the information into a more convenient reporting system. Here's how it works. You'll notice now in version 6.1 and higher of Cubit, there's this Excel Templates button at the Job Manager screen under the Data tab. If I click on this now, it will to this dialog box, which will appear here. Now what you can do is you can set up different templates to export information out of Cubit into Excel containing information that you need. So for example, earlier I've set up an option here to export data to MYOB. So I've given it a name here on the left-hand side. And then over here, I've set up information to say which columns out of Cubit we want to export into the Excel spreadsheet. So you can see here in this estimate column, if I click, there's a drop-down box. And this will contain all of the columns available in the Cubit estimate sheet. So you can see here, I've told it, look, I want to export cost codes, which could be MYOB accounting codes, out to Excel, as well as product description, quantity, unit, rate, and total. So what this is a template. So when I go into a job in a moment, I can click a button and easily export the data straight to an Excel spreadsheet with this information from the estimate. So you can create new ones here on the fly if you need to as well. So if I come over to here and let's say we want to export to job pack also, I can create a new one quite easily, and I can come over here, select and then nominate what information I want to go to job pack. So I could just simply say, look, I want descriptions from the estimate sheet, quantities, units, and rates. So it's easy to create these. You can then save them, and they're available within any job to export the data out. So that's just showing you how you can set some up. I'll show you now how it works in action. So if I close this dialog box and open up a job, so I'm just going into this demo job that I've got set up here, and I'm going to right-click here and expand all my trades out. So you can see I've got this job cost-coded. Now, you don't have to cost-code a job. You can export just straight descriptions, quantities, units, rates, like I did with the job pack example. But what you'll see here, if I come up to the Data tab now, under the Export area on the ribbon, we've also had always had this Excel drop-down box. But you'll see now that there's these additional options that I set up as templates to export the data to different formats. So if I hit this Export to MYOB option, it'll bring up that information that I preset in the template. So basically what this means, when I hit this Export button in a moment, it's going to export cost code information out into Excel under a header name of cost code. It'll also export the description, quantity, unit, rate, and total. Now you can make changes to these on the fly. You can move information up and down and how you want to export the information out to the spreadsheet. So you can customize this information as you go. And you can also over here nominate what additional information that you want to go out to Excel. So here, if I tick this Include Trade Headings button, it'll also export out the headings of concrete, brickwork, carpentry, plaster. If I tick Include Excel Header, it'll also export this information out, this header name information out to the spreadsheet as well. So you've got information, if you're sending this on to other third-party packages or other people that need to read this information, they've got useful headings at the top of the spreadsheet. And there's also an option here for exporting all, which will just dump everything from the estimate sheet out to the spreadsheet, or you can just export selected information, which I'll show you that in a moment. So I'll stop talking and show you how this works. So you can see it's very quick. Once you've set up this information, you just hit the export button here, and it'll ask you where you want to save this information to. So I'm just going to save it onto my desktop. I've already got a file there of that name, so it'll just prompt me to overwrite it, which I'll do now. And you can see now it's dumped that data straight out to a spreadsheet in a format which is ready to go into other third-party software, or can be easily sent on to anyone else in your business, or to project managers, accounts people who may need to get access to this information. So you can see it's exported the data with the cost codes because I told it I wanted the cost codes to go. We've got descriptions, we've got the quantities, units, rates, total as well. So the headings went across. I told it that I wanted headings to go out with the export, and it's also brought the trade information through. So that's showing you one example of the data export. If I close this and show you another example, so if I come back here now and I might just tag the concrete and the brickwork trade. So I've just held the control key down there and tagged these two. I'm now going to export to MYOB, but this time I'm just going to export selected information. So once again, if I click export, save it, it'll ask me whether I want to override it, which I'll do. And this time it's just exporting out the concrete and brickwork information. So it's just information that I tagged. And then the final thing to show you with this is, if I run it once more, I'll tick off these two options and click export, or I can save the template after I've made a change, which makes it quicker when I do the export. It'll just overwrite that file, and now it'll just show me the information without any of the trade headings, without any of the Excel headings up the top as well. So hopefully you can see that feature is quite useful and quite flexible in allowing you to get data from any of these columns that you've set up straight out to an Excel spreadsheet. And you can also create new templates on the fly. So here we can come in here and say, I want to add quantity twice, for example, or we want to add a new feature down here. We want the description at the bottom. We can save that format, give it a name, Hayden's template, and then export. And it's just exporting that information out that I've nominated on the fly. So you can see it sent the quantity out twice to put the description at the end. So you can customize it to suit. So hopefully that gives you an idea of how that feature works. Is there anything, Steve, that you wanted to add on that particular feature, or any question that you need me to address?
No, that's fine. You've gone through a good night, definitely.
All right, great. Okay, so that's the custom Excel export. So the next feature we want to show you through is Restyled Reports. So I'm at the Data tab, and we've got all our different report options here. So all the reports have been there in the Cubit system since it was first released in 2014. But you'll see now in version 6.1, if I bring up a trade summary report, you can see there's a nice, fresh new look on the report. So Stephen and his lads and girls there have been working away trying to make this a much more presentable report. So you can see here it not only looks better, it's a lot more streamlined, it's user-friendly, and there's a few more filter options up here that have been added, parameters up here on the left-hand side, so you can have more control over your reports. So you've always been able to change the name of your report and click Apply. But you can see now there's a logo alignment feature that's been added. So you can position your logo at the top here. So I've got it on the left-hand side by default. I can click center, click Apply. It'll put it into the center, or I can send it to the right-hand side, click Apply. So you can move your company logo or header around the report now. You've got a little bit more control. And if you're not sure how to set up your logo, it's quite easy to do. You just go to the Job Manager screen, click on the Cubit button, go to Options, and then under Reports, you can add your logo into there. So that's something that our support staff can help with if need be, but it's quite easy to do if you go looking for the Options button under the Cubit menu at the Job Manager screen. Right, so that's showing you how you can move your logo around now. You'll see this option here called Highlight Color. So this highlight color allows you to control the color that you want to use for the report name, the color that you want to use for the headings or the trades in the report, and the totals here on the right-hand side. So highlight color here, I'll show you by default I'm using blue. Blue's been a universal build-soft color for many years now, like our company color, but we can change it to orange, click Apply, and you can see it makes that change straight away. So this has given you the ability to set up a branding for these type of reports as well. So you can use your own color, you can use your own fonts. things like that to customize it a bit better. So that's one report and a couple of options I can show you. If I just close this report, I won't save those changes, and I'll bring up the trade report. All right, so you can see here, this is the standard trade report, which is, it looks a lot neater now. Very impressed with the changes that the development team have made there. There's a couple other extra features which are useful for this report as well, and other reports in the software. So you can see here we've got this odd row color option here now. So it might be hard to see there, but I've got every second row appearing in this sort of white smoke color, so it's easier for me to read. But if I click here, let's say I'll change that to orange as well. You can see there it's changing every odd row or every second line to a different color. So this makes it easier to read when you're presenting this information to whether it be your clients or in internal management review meetings or passing it on to project managers. So a little bit more customization there, and you can play around with the colors more on the reports. And we've also added this show job description, which I find quite useful also. So you can see here with this option turned on, I've got this row of information here. So information appearing here comes from the description field entered for this job at the job manager screen. So if I just quickly toggle back, I'll just close this job, come back to the job manager screen here. You can see any information that you put into this field here, when we then go into the job and look at that report, right, that information will appear here now. So if I tick that off and click apply, now we can remove that information if you don't want it to be on the report. But any information there would be useful, especially if you're presenting reports to clients about what the job is, what it's for, that type of thing. You can easily turn that option on and off now. So that's the Restyled Report option. Anything that you want to add with that, Steve?
Yeah, I guess one point is if you like the old style, we can still give that back to you if there is anything that you feel that you missed, that we can give you a few files if you get in contact with the support team. So, yeah.
All right, so for those classic users out there, I know there's a lot of you that have got grey hair like I do these days, so we can set up your old reporting style if need be as well. Thanks for that input, Steve. Anything else?
Nah.
Thank you. All right, so that's the Restyled reporting option. As I said, really good for being able to brand your company now by changing the fonts and changing the colors of how you want to present this information across headings as well to suit your company brand guidelines. All right, so the last feature that we want to show you, if I just close out of Cubit back to the Job Manager screen here, this is the biggest feature released in Cubit 6.1, which is called the Enhanced Update functionality. So this feature allows estimators to leverage the job update feature, which was released in Cubit 6, but with more options now available. I touched on it earlier. This feature is especially useful for custom home builders, project home builders, commercial builders, or anyone using price lists in Cubit, or any of our legacy programs like Offsider or Global. So from Cubit 6, the job update feature available here, that allowed that allowed users to update jobs and templates for other jobs and link changes from one job to another. For example, a project home builder may use this feature for updating a master or template job, so new material or labour pricing can flow through to jobs currently being worked on or be ready for future jobs to be priced. So this enhanced job update feature has been expanded to allow a change made in one price list to now be available to update other price lists also. This new feature also gives the user more control over what they would like updated, such as selecting what fields are to be updated. So in our legacy software, you could go and update rates pretty quickly via the price list button. But with this updated price list functionality in Cubit Pro, it takes it to the next step. You can now update an item's description, a unit, a quantity, its rate, its option codes, or any group codes across various places. You may use them in a price list or an estimate. This can be a great help if you're someone who is managing a national price list that has state-specific variants, based on a master list. So here's how it works. So if I go to the price list tab here, I've got a few price lists set up in my Cubit software. I've got a main price list where I've got a lot of my composite rates. I've also got a price list for all my labour rates, and I've got a couple of price lists that I've received from my suppliers. So ready-mix concrete pricing I've got available in here. If I double-click, now I've got a few concrete supply prices and their cubic metre rates. If I also have a look here, I've got a Reese Plumbing price list. So I was able to get a hold of a Reese Plumbing price list in an Excel spreadsheet, and I was able to import that in so I could use it for material pricing when I'm putting a quote together. So I've got a couple of material price lists in the software, and I've also got this labour rate price list where I've set up a few different labour options, for an apprentice, a labourer, a foreman, a project manager. And you can see I've got some rates in there for that. Now, don't pull me up on the rates. I don't know exactly what they are. I know they vary from state to state and region to region, but I've had a shot at putting some rates in there for that. But I also have my main price list here. So if I open this up, this is where I've got all my standard trades, things that I want to call up when I'm working on a job and get access to information. For example, if I go to my concrete trade and open up my concreter, you can see here I've got 20 MPa concrete supply in as $125 a cubic metre if it was supply only. But I've also got underneath here a 20 MPa supply and lay item. And it's got a blue rate here, which means I have a composite rate linked to that. So if we have a look on the right-hand side here, in this rate sheet, I've set up, well, for 20 MPa supply and lay slab, we'll need some concrete itself. I've allowed a wastage factor. I've put in some plant allowance, and I've also got a labourer, two guys or two staff at 0.25 of an hour per cube at $30 an hour. So this information, this concrete supply, came from my ready-mix supplier price list, and this labourer come from my rates or list of rates price list. So if there was a change from the concrete supplier or from the labourer, like we need to increase labour rates or decrease labour rates or whatever it might be, what I can now do is I can come out to the job manager screen, go into the relevant price list. So I'm going to go into labour rates, and I'm going to change my labourer from $30 to $40 per hour. Right, and I'm going to also go into my ready mix, and I'm going to increase the rates for these. So let's say I'm going to bump the 125 up to 140, the 150 to 160, and the 32 MPa up to 190. So I've made those changes, but it hasn't updated my composite rates or my main price list yet. So what we can now do is we can highlight a price list where we've made a change. We can click on this drop-down box, and we can tell it to update price list as well as update jobs that contain that information. So in Cubit 6, we could go and update a job, and it would send through the updated pricing into that job. But now, with this new enhanced job update functionality, we can click Update Price List, and it would list all of the price lists in our system that contain information from the highlighted price list, in this case the ready mix one. So if I tick this box, it'll allow me now to go and update that BuildSoft main price list with any changes that I've made in ready mix. So we have, by default, the rate ticked on, but you can see here, as mentioned earlier, we can also get it to go and update any description. So if the supplier has changed the way they've worded something in their product price list, we can get it to go and update that description. We can update units. We can update grouping codes. So if you were that national price list manager that we were talking about earlier, and there's been a change of a cost code for a group of items, we can get it to go and update that as well. And importantly, a couple of options down here, update build-up rates and add missing items. You can see here it can also go and update your composite rates as well. So it'll look down in that composite rate sheet level with this button ticked, and update those rates also. So I'll stop talking and I'll show you how it works. So if I click this update button, what the software is now doing, it's now looking through that BuildSoft main price list for anywhere where I've used the ready mix concrete supply items, and it's updating to the new rates. So in this case, the main price list, it's got a few thousand items in it. So it's taking a little time. Took about 10 seconds there, so it's not too long. It'll tell you when the targets have been successfully updated. So I'll click close there. I'll close this one, and I'll also run the same function on my labor rate price list. So once again, pick the price list, click update, and it'll go through that process. So you can see that this has given you a lot of control over building up price libraries and building up composite rates, so you've got information accessed and updated, at your fingertips. And you guys all know, being in estimating and quantity surveying, that this sort of information makes you valuable. And to be able to update jobs quickly, that makes you even more valuable, because you can get back to clients and get quotes in on time. So I've run that function on both my ready mix and labor rate. So if I go back to my main price list now and open that up and go back to concrete and open up, you can see the concrete supply item has now gone from 125 to 140. And if we have a look at our composite rates, the 20 MPa concrete supply item in the composite rate sheet is now 140 also, and our labour rate's gone up from 30 to 40. And all of these composite rates here have also been updated. So across the whole price list, the updated information has been able to come through. Now, a lot of questions that I get, and hopefully that gives you an idea of how that works, a lot of questions I get, which I wanted to show you, especially if people are going to use this function, is how do I get information into this rate sheet from another price list? So I'm going to show you here. I'm going to insert another row here, and I'll just call it 32 MPa concrete supply and install. All right, and I'll come across to the rate column here, the rate sheet. So what I can do, if I want to get information in from those other price lists into this rate sheet, I need to put my cursor on that line, click the price list button. It'll then call up a list of our price lists, which we can toggle between. So if I wanted to bring in a concrete supply item, I can tick it here. I don't click insert. Clicking insert will add it into our main price list. What I do is click add rate, and you can see it's added it into the rate sheet. So I've added that supply item into a composite rate. And if I go to my labour rates, I can do the same thing. I can grab the labourer and I can add that rate in as well. And then I can update my composite rate. We might have a labour constant of 1.4 hours per cubic metre, and we can put this information in here to get a comprehensive composite rate coming up. So hopefully that gives you an idea of how that feature works. Is there anything you'd like to add to that, Steve?
No, I'm just going through answering some of the questions in chat, so just keep all your questions coming in chat.
Okay, well, yeah, look, if we will hang around and we'll go through those questions. If there's something specific you wanted me to demonstrate, Steve, I can do that. So what I might do while you're just answering through those, I'll just give another example of this to show you the flexibility of the price list now. So let's have a look. I'll go to my plumbing external trade here. I'll go to pipe work. Okay, I've got a 100 mil diameter pipe here, and I've got a composite rate for it. So if you have a look over here, I've got a labour component of 0.25 of an hour, say to lay a linear metre of pipe work at whatever our labour rate is. And I've also allowed for a cover plate, some waste extension, and the pipe work itself. All right, so if we have a look here, let's have a look at this cover plate, for example. Currently it's $13.50. So let's say we get word from the supplier that we need to update a particular product. So what we can do is we can go to that supplier, so Reese Plumbing in this case. Now, really handy feature here that not many people are aware of when I speak to. There's a find feature here, so I can go click find and I can go and look for that PVC cover plate. So it's found that item for me. So you can see it's $13.50 there. All right, so let's say the price of that increased by 5%. So there's another good feature I can show you here. Let's say all of these items here increased by 5%. So I can tag them, and I can go adjust rate by 5% and click OK. So you can see there it's changed the rates for these items that I've tagged. So if I now close out of the Reese Plumbing price list, tell the software to go and update price list that I've got information from Reese in, so I'll click update. It'll do its thing once again, so it's processing through, looking through all of the composite rates to update all that information in the price list. Obviously we can run this function on any jobs that you're currently pricing as well to bring through those updated rates also. Right, so it's finished that there now. I'll click close and I'll go back into my main price list and let's look at the pipe work. So you can see it's actually now increased from $41, whatever it was, to $42.43 because the price for this particular item has been updated. So hopefully that gives you an idea of the power of this new feature that we've added. There's no limitations in the number of price lists that you can set up, so you can set them up the way you want to. You don't have to have different price lists for different suppliers. You can just have a main price list called surprise price lists, and then when you go into it, you could have headings set up in here. So for example, I could insert a row here and I could create a concrete, a ready mix heading, and I could indent all these items underneath ready mix here. So we could have all our different suppliers in here as headings.